I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back? What's going on, boxing fans? Welcome to Backchat TV. So we're going to get straight into this fight. Anthony Joshua's comeback fight against Jermaine Franklin. A good opponent, very good, very underestimated opponent. It's on the 1st of April, which is in a couple days' time, 2 days' time, Saturday. Definitely looking forward to it. Although it's not really on everybody's radar. Obviously, after Anthony Joshua lost twice to Usyk, I don't know why people always bring that up as if it's, you know, the end of his career. Usyk's arguably the best fighter in the world at the moment, so a loss to Usyk doesn't mean Anthony Joshua's career is finished. But his stock has gone down due to the nature of the business. When you lose, your stock does go down. And Jermaine Franklin, not so well known, getting a kind of a controversial loss to Dillian Whyte, who is much more respected and well known. Somehow people have put Jermaine Franklin and Anthony Joshua as not 50-50, but, you know, like they've put it in a way that makes it look as if Jermaine Franklin has a really, really good chance to win. And I'm not saying that he doesn't. Now, keys for both of them. I've seen Jermaine Franklin. He's got a lot of good skills. I've spoken about him before. He's got a really good amateur background. And I think that is actually the most important thing, to be honest, because a lot of fighters that come in and don't have a good amateur career, they often get blown away. A lot of the times, maybe if it's a heavyweight, they're quite big, naturally big, strong, powerful. They often do well just because of their sheer size. But when they come up against experienced fighters, you know, they don't know what to do. And they're often thrown in the deep end. So this is when we see them either lose at the top level or, you know, just not have a clue what to do when they're in there with someone who's skilled, who has that amateur background. Well, this is the opposite. Jermaine Franklin has a good amateur background and has a lot of fights, has fought a lot of different styles. He's a small heavyweight, but just like he said in a recent conference with Anthony Joshua, his trainer said anyway, he's come up fighting guys bigger than him. All the guys were bigger than him. 6'6", 6'7", you know, so he does know how to fight bigger guys. And it shows in his style. It shows in his style. He has a kind of style where, you know, he doesn't really stand up straight. He makes himself kind of small and elusive. And he comes up with looping punches, which often catch bigger men. He's got fast hands. He's in way better shape. From what I've seen of him recently, he's in way better shape than he was against Dillian Whyte, and we all saw how good he was against Dillian Whyte. So he definitely has a chance against Anthony Joshua. I just think that, unfortunately, he's come at a time, I think their team thinks that they've come at a perfect time where Anthony Joshua is on a massive decline. Yeah, but I think they're probably wrong. I think they've come at a time where Anthony Joshua is going to be actually his best. The reason why I say that is because Anthony Joshua made some very important changes. First of all, he's fought Usyk twice. He has learned so much from fighting Usyk twice. He's learned that size doesn't win fights. He's learned how fit he has to be in there with someone like Usyk, who's non-stop movement and punches. He's learned that. You know, he's learned about the angles. He's learned about the timing, the kind of timing he would need to beat someone like Usyk. You know what I mean? So he's now been in there with the best. Anthony Joshua's one of the most rounded fighters. He's becoming one of the most rounded fighters now because of his experience. One of the most experienced fighters. From fighting Klitschko, you know, someone with natural power, to fighting someone like Usyk, who kind of does everything well. I think that all that experience, not even including the fact that he's now gone to one of the best and the most appropriate trainers in Derrick James. And apparently Derrick James is showing him a whole new way of working. And another thing that's really important is Anthony Joshua has trained a few times with the likes of Errol Spence and Charlo. And in an interview, Anthony Joshua actually said, there is a big difference fighting and training with these guys than in the UK. Not saying anything bad about the UK, but the problem with in the UK is that you're not really training with world champions like Errol Spence. The difference is Errol Spence will train non-stop for 1 hour and take a few minutes break and come back and do another hour. And Anthony Joshua was like, when he saw that, it made him motivated. He realized that that is the level you need to be at to be a champion. Basically, he was not doing that before. So it pushed him to do 45 to an hour non-stop training. And you're going to see the best version of Anthony Joshua. That's what I think. So contrary to people saying Anthony Joshua's on the slide, you know, this is the best time to get him, this is the worst Anthony Joshua, I think it's the total opposite. Anthony Joshua, to me, seemed like he got rid of a lot of his demons. He had a lot of expectations riding on his shoulders. I think he got rid of all of that. He said in an interview, they asked him, does he think that if he loses, it's definitely the end of his career and stuff like that? You know, a long time ago, he may have said, yes, it would have been the end of my career, because he believes that he has to be at a certain level. And if he loses to a certain competition, a certain level of competition, he should retire. A lot of fighters say this, I'll retire. A lot of this is pressure. Anthony Joshua seems to have got rid of all of that. He actually says, if I lost, it's up to me if I want to continue or not. You know, maybe he loses the next 10 fights. If he still wants to fight, he will. And that's the right answer. It's completely up to him. Forget the pressure. You know, you can either do it or you can't. He doesn't have to retire because public opinion don't see him as the best anymore. And that was a big issue with Anthony Joshua, trying to make the British fans and the fans around the world perceive him in a way that he may not have been at the time, you know. So mentally, from what I've seen watching interviews of both of them, I think Anthony Joshua's in the right place. He seems free. He seems happy with this fight coming along. He's not underestimating Franklin. He's as fit as he's ever been, as we've seen. He's been chopping wood. He's been doing all sorts of drills that he didn't do before with Derrick James. Derrick James has been showing him the same kind of intensive drills in the Texas heat that he does with Errol Spence. He's been doing exactly the same with Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua at first thought he was crazy for the level of intensity. But he did it, and he said his fitness has just gone to another level. So I think we see Anthony Joshua doing what he wants with Franklin. You know, he is going to have some adversity with Franklin, because Franklin has come to win. You know, he gives it his all, and he's trying to make his name. He's trying to pay his bills. You know what I mean? He's got a massive incentive and motivation fighting Anthony Joshua. But I just think that Anthony Joshua made some really important changes that's going to make it impossible for him to win. I think if Anthony Joshua never chose to go with Derrick James as a trainer, I think Jermaine Franklin would have a much better chance of, you know, snatching a win off Anthony Joshua, because there were some things in Anthony Joshua's game that was lacking. But unfortunately for Franklin, I think Derrick James has fixed those things. One is the stamina issue. He's got him doing some amazing cardio work, which has fixed that. He's got him going 12 rounds and doing stuff with Errol Spence. And Anthony Joshua actually said he can see clearly why Errol Spence is a champion. And he's been doing the same things. He said he's in the best shape. And he hasn't been training any heavier with weights, but he looks bigger. And he said it's because he finally is understanding nutrition properly. And he's got better nutrition. So he hasn't been going heavy on weights. And I think that's an amazing advantage. Also, I think that Derrick James has got him changing certain things, as in his rotation when he's landing punches. Before, he was not using his whole body. Derrick James has got him rotating his whole body into his right hand, into his jab. And I think you're going to see that power, fluidity and speed really coming through, because he's really showing him how to get that rotational force in, which he was not doing before. And now Anthony Joshua is perfecting these kind of skills. I see him stopping Franklin, because Anthony Joshua had the power and the athleticism before this, but now that he has the skills to go with it, to deliver that power, and I just don't see Franklin being able to stand up to that. If he does stand up to it, maybe he'll last, but he'll definitely lose. He's definitely going to wilt under the firepower that Anthony Joshua has now. So I think we're seeing a better Anthony Joshua, not a worse Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua stops Franklin, beats him at the best, but I think he stops him either knockout or TKO. I think he then goes on, and this is going to be the controversial part, I think he then goes on to challenge the top fighters in the division. You know, I think there's a chance that he goes on to be a real test now for the top guys in the division. I mean, I know I may seem like a massive Anthony Joshua fan, Derrick James fan, but I actually am a Derrick James fan. I like what he's done. I like the fact that only, 13 years ago, he was actually fighting himself. Apparently, he's got experience in the ring. He's got experience as a trainer. He's got success as a trainer. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like he was the perfect choice for Anthony Joshua, and I said this before. And I think that he's fixed the mentality and the skills, which makes Anthony Joshua dangerous. Dangerous to Tyson Fury, dangerous to Alexander Usyk in a rematch, you know. And I would say now, Anthony Joshua only has one issue that could see his chances of regaining the title collapse completely. And I think that's Deontay Wilder. I'll tell you why. I think that if you put this new improved Anthony Joshua in with Tyson Fury, I think he doesn't gas like he would have before. I think he's got more punching power now that he's been taught how to punch with his whole body and certain skills, how to evade the jab and things like that. I think he gives Tyson Fury a much better fight now than he would before. So I give him a good chance of beating Tyson Fury in a fight. And plus, I don't think Tyson Fury's really got that much punching power. So I think Anthony Joshua has a good chance to beat Tyson Fury. I don't know if he would, but I think he's got a good chance now with Derrick James, the improved version. I think he's got a great chance, believe it or not, with Usyk in a rematch. There's lots of things he would do different, impose his size more speed on his punches. I'm not saying he would beat Usyk. I'm just saying that he has a much better chance now that he's with Derrick James. Deontay Wilder, but the problem is, I think that they may make a fight, a good win against Franklin. We may see him suddenly get a big fight with Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder will be free at some point after his fight or before whoever Deontay Wilder is scheduled to fight. We don't know actually what's going to happen with Deontay Wilder, but I think that it's going to be a bit unfortunate that after this fight, somehow the fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua might get made, and it's going to be such a big, amazing spectacle that it's going to be a big fight. And I think that might be the right time for it to get made, but I think it might be the wrong time for Joshua, because Deontay Wilder is just a fighter that I just believe you can't really train for him that well. You know, you can have all the skills in the world and know how to do all sorts of things, but Deontay Wilder's always just going to land that right hand, you know. I think he's a very complicated person to train for. You could be outboxing him for 11 rounds, even 12 rounds, and in the 12th round, that bomb squad is going to land. And that would make Anthony Joshua look a lot worse than he is. He may just get knocked out, you know. What I'm trying to say is I favour Anthony Joshua in fights with Tyson Fury and a rematch with Alexander Usyk more than I do with Deontay Wilder, because I feel like there's so many things Anthony Joshua could implement better against Usyk in a rematch. It'd be a much closer fight. Tyson Fury doesn't really have power, so that could be a much closer fight. But Deontay Wilder, that knockout power that he has can just come from nowhere. I just feel it's so difficult to train for someone who can just bring that knockout right hand out of, and he throws that right hand, whether he's in position or not. He's so dangerous that I feel like he could be the person that Anthony Joshua may not be able to overcome. It could be the total opposite. Anthony Joshua with his new skills could knock out Deontay Wilder. You know, but I think Deontay Wilder is the danger, to be honest. Not Usyk and not Tyson Fury, believe it or not. Tell me what you think about that. I know that's quite controversial, but I just think when you've got that knockout power, you're just so dangerous. I haven't really seen Anthony Joshua be able to avoid that right hand like the way Tyson Fury did. And even Tyson Fury got knocked down by it. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe Deontay Wilder's power wouldn't knock out a big guy like Anthony Joshua. So maybe that's something we haven't factored into. But anyway, I believe Anthony Joshua stops Franklin, and I would love to see what he does next. I'm quite excited about his career going forward, unlike a lot of people. I mean, I've got a lot of confidence in him. I don't think his career is over at all. I think Derek James is giving him a new life, and I want to see how far he can get and see if he can reclaim these titles. Um, as a boxing fan, I'd like to see him and Deontay Wilder. But personally, as a fan of Anthony Joshua, to see him get to the top, I would kind of say avoid him until you win the belts back off one of the other champions. But let me know what you think. It's going to be a good fight on the first Saturday. Looking forward to it. I'm on to the next one.